We're excited to have Dr. John Westerdahl with us today. He is a leading authority in the field of food, nutrition, and longevity. He is a registered dietitian, nutritionist, certified nutritional specialist, board certified anti-aging practitioner, and certified lifestyle medicine professional. He's in private practice and he specializes in anti-aging, longevity, and lifestyle medicine. And his research as a nutritionist and a health scientist has led him to develop many different health products and supplements for companies such as Bragg Life Food Products, Dr. John McDougall Wright Foods, and the Shackley Corporation. And he hosts a radio talk show entitled Health and Longevity on the Live Talk Radio Network. Dr. Westerdahl, we're so excited to have you here today.
Well, nice to be with both of you. And aloha, you're in Hawaii.
Yes.
Yes.
I had a lot of my career in Hawaii for 16 years total. I was the director of wellness, lifestyle medicine, and nutrition services at Castle Medical Center, Adventist Health Castle Medical Center. They're over on Oahu in Kailua, and we did a lot of work there. And later on, I also was a nutrition assistant to Dr. Linus. He's the only person in history to get 2 Nobel Prizes, one in chemistry and one in peace. And he's most famous for his work in vitamin C, a big proponent of nutrition for health and in medicine. And he also delved kind of in the area of nutritional supplementation to help people optimize their nutrition as well as eating a healthy diet. So anyway, it's great to be with both of you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing. So, one thing that we hear that comes up a lot from individuals is aging. And I know that's something we're going to be talking about today. I see a lot of individuals on social media, and they're always looking at biohacking, how we could live longer, how we could live healthier. And some individuals say, age is just a number. But then we see some individuals who, you may have an individual that's 50 and their health is deteriorating much faster than their friend who may be 50 years old as well. So what is aging? What is your definition of aging?
Well, I'm going to go to the Webster's New World Dictionary. Everyone goes to the dictionary. When you try to look up aging in the dictionary, you'll see it's described as the process of growing old or showing signs of growing old. That was probably a good definition during the 19th century when he wrote that, Noah Webster, and put that in the dictionary. But with today, with all the advances in science and medicine and the studies of the human body, it's kind of outmoded and really, we have a lot of biotechnology today. It's not really up to date with when you look at the process of aging. Now, when people physically think of aging, they'll think of, they got wrinkles. That's the first thing. They see their skin wrinkling. They get a lot of sun exposure and sunspots and so forth. And their memory tends to go away. They're losing their memory, cognition. They get hair loss. And those are just some of the blessings that people have in the aging process. But so we're going to talk more about some of the other advances in aging and anti-aging and longevity, but that's what most people think of when they think of aging.
So I understand that there are 2 types then of aging. There's chronological age and your biological age. So can you tell us the difference between these 2 types?
Yes. Now, chronological age has to do with your age, is how old you are, how many birthdays you've had. Every year we get a year older, whether we like it or not. And it strictly has to do with the year you were born and how many years you are at this time. Now, biological age, some people refer to it as your health age, has to do with your lifestyle and your health habits. In other words, a person may be 40 years old, but they have done some really good things in their lifestyle, and they may actually be younger. Now, let me explain that. Let's say you have a 40-year-old person, their chronological age is 40, and they are about 35 pounds overweight. They have high blood pressure. They have high cholesterol. They never exercise. They are under a lot of stress. They tend to have more diabetes and high, the high cholesterol leading to some atherosclerosis. Even though they're 40 and you look at all their weight and all these factors, they actually may be more like 55 years of age. On the other hand, let's say you have the same 40-year-old and they have the ideal body weight. They don't have any high blood pressure. Their cholesterol is perfect. They eat a healthy plant-based diet. They don't have any high blood pressure. They exercise regularly. They do a lot of good health habits, don't drink or smoke. They may be 40 years old by chronological, but because of their health habits, their health span is going to be longer, and that they may actually be up maybe 10 years younger. Maybe they're more like 30 years old as far as their health age is or their biological age.
So how does somebody specifically determine their age?
Well, if you look at the slide I put up there, determining your biological age, there is a digital health company called ShareCare Incorporated, and they have determined, working with doctors and other scientists, what they call your real age. They actually registered that name. And what they do is you can go on, it's a free service. You just go on the website that's listed there, and they'll have a lifestyle questionnaire. They'll analyze your whole lifestyle. They're going to look at your habits, your lifestyle. They'll want to know your weight, your blood pressure. If you have any blood test results, you can plug that in. So that we'll do a full analysis of everything about you when it comes to your body and your health. And from there, based on many clinical research studies, they're able to determine what your real age is or your health age is. So what's nice about that is if let's say your real age is older than you are, they will actually make a list of recommendations that you need to follow to help you reverse that. Let's say it shows that they're actually 10 years younger. That is an indication that their health span and their lifespan will be 10 years longer.
Wow.
Now, the nice thing about that is it's kept. You have a file kept on there. So let's say you didn't turn out too good and they made those recommendations. Well, you can be working on those and then later go on maybe a year later or something, and then with all your improvements and put it in there, and it'll recalculate what your health age.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Now you live so long, so it won't be as better because you've done some damage, but it will recalculate what your health age is then.
So when it comes to health and longevity, especially, being here in America, where do we stand?
Well, we are in a healthcare crisis today. Here in the United States, we have the best, most sophisticated healthcare system in the world. But when you look at all the over 200 nations, when they look at that, we rank about 35 when it comes to longevity and health. So that is because a lot of reasons has to do with the standard American diet and the standard American lifestyle is killing us. And so 80% of the chronic diseases that we have today are diet and lifestyle related. Heart disease, cancer, diabetes, obesity. In fact, it's so bad, particularly with the young people. I was in the room when the Surgeon General made the statement that based on the way obesity is going with our young kids and the bad lifestyles that they're having, it is in this generation that many parents will outlive their own children. So it's a really sad situation, and the good news is that we do have the information on how people can reverse some of those chronic diseases and how they can live a healthy lifestyle. And when you think of it, as Americans, we have the opportunity to have the healthiest diet possible, right at our fingertips, right in your grocery store and your health food store if you want to get some more things. We have you can join a gym and fitness center. There's all types of classes and resources all around you. that we can take advantage of. So I'm really upset because, in fact, I was talking to one of your former congresswomen the other day, Tulsi Gabbard. She was over here speaking, and she's very much into healthy living and so forth. Um, that when you look at all the politicians that are running for president, they're talking about a lot of the other issues going on, borders and Ukraine and the economy, but I'm not hearing anyone talking about let's make America healthy again.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see, because that's where it's bankrupting our country. People rely on drugs and expensive surgery and expensive health care when we don't have to spend that if people would take care of their bodies.
Yeah.
I hear RFK Jr. talking about chronic disease, and
He is, and he has. He's the only one that has. I shouldn't say no one is, because he did a lecture on that, and I actually congratulated him for saying that. And I brought up the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, which I'm active member of, and they're the only physicians group in the country that is addressing this whole issue and using lifestyle as the first method. Instead of just write a prescription real quick and give it to them, they use lifestyle first. Not that they won't give medicines if needed, but they want to try the lifestyle first and make changes to see how much they can improve as compared to write prescriptions and do expensive medical treatments and surgeries and so forth.
Yeah. I've spoken with some friends and family members as well, and they say, well, there's always this talk about the standard American diet or this SAD diet, but my grandparents and my great-grandparents, they ate lard and they ate all the cheese and the dairy and the meat that they wanted, and they lived into their hundreds. So what are we seeing? What's different now than 100 years ago?
Well, I think they probably ate a lot more vegetables than the current people are. The average person eats maybe one fruit a day and one garden vegetable every other day. So, only 10% of people in the United States are following the 5 or more fruits and vegetables a day, and 5 is like the minimum. The ideal is to have 9 servings of fruits and vegetables a day if you want to prevent cancer and if you want to really meet your nutritional needs. But that's a lot fewer that do it. In fact, the vegetables that most Americans eat are tomatoes, lettuce, and potatoes. Now, when they analyze where are they getting those from, and those are healthy foods, but the tomatoes is coming in the form of ketchup.
Yeah.
And the potatoes most of them that the Americans are eating are in the form of French fries.
Yes.
And you know what that is, that iceberg lettuce and all those things are on there. They may throw a pickle on there and another vegetable, but that's where they're getting their vegetables from. That's nothing.
Yeah.
That's not going to help.
I figured that also in reading some work from naturopath physicians and scientists, that the toxic load is also increasing and has increased in the last 50 years, and that could be contributing to physical aging and biological aging.
Environmental factors play a role, air pollution, water situations, and all that. But you know what? Compared to the diet and the big lifestyle habits, those are minuscule, actually, compared to that. I'm not saying it's not a factor, but I'm just saying if people could just get on a healthier diet, eat more fruits and vegetables, get on exercise and that type of thing, and get off the smoking.
Yeah.
Just smoking and diet alone is about 65 promotes about 65% of the cancers, for instance, just those 2 lifestyle habits. We have to also look at the diet. SAD American diet is a toxic diet.
Well, yeah. I mean, you have like glyphosate and toxins and chemicals and plasticides going into these kinds of foods too. Preservatives.
Ideally,
all that stuff.
if you can get organic, that's the best. But the studies of showing people improving their health were all done on conventional fruits and vegetables. Maybe there's some organic in there, but so sometimes people will use that. They'll focus in on those issues And they say, well, I'm not going to eat fruits and vegetables because there's, they're doing all these chemicals and all that type of thing. Yeah, if you can get organic or go to the farmer's market where a lot of them are growing them healthier, that's the ideal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, you make a good point that it's still important to get it conventionally versus nothing at all.
Yeah.
So
And in fact, those studies are also done on canned vegetables, which aren't the best necessarily,
right.
but they're looking at all vegetable intake.
Yeah. I mean, certainly one thing I think of is with my grandparents, they didn't grow up consuming all of these dyes and additives that have
Right.
been added to food, and all of the seed oils and the refined oils that are in everything we consume today. So,
and the high amount
Yeah.
of sugar too, that's played such a role
Well,
for inflammation.
that's why I was very rewarding to work for some of the food companies that I have in the past because we're developing healthy foods, and most of the ones I was involved in, we were doing organic foods too, in the ingredients and all that. And I did some things I couldn't understand why other food companies weren't doing it. Like salad dressings, a lot of them have a lot of sugar in them, even the fat-free ones. I actually put some stevia extract in it in place of sugar. We were the first to have a salad dressing that was sweetened with just the natural fruit that was in there because some of them were berry dressings and so forth. But then instead of corn syrup or refined sugar, we use a little stevia, just a few specks of the concentrated sweet. It could sweeten the salad dressing. So I like to see companies make more food, but a lot of those conventional food companies say that people won't buy them. And, if we take the sugar, salt, and oil out of it, people won't buy them.
Yeah.
So those are the challenge. We have to educate the American people too.
Yeah. I remember growing up in my father's health food stores, there were a lot of foods and supplements that were on the shelves that could only be sold to specialty stores like health food stores. And a lot of these companies have been bought out by the big box manufacturers and the big labels. So I think sometimes we go to the store purchasing these labels that we're used to and we're familiar with and we trust, but we don't always look at the ingredients because those ingredients have changed along the way as well.
Yes, people talk about going to Whole Foods Market, and even the founder of Whole Foods says we have a lot of junk foods in this store. Because they're putting all types of things, and now, when they got rid of trans fats, they're putting coconut oil and they're putting palm kernel oil, which are also saturated fat. And so a lot of you have to watch it. Just because it says it's all natural and health food, you got to read those ingredients.
So we see that a diet is important, assisting longevity through, being mindful of what we're eating. But when we're looking at anti-aging, what are some other things we can incorporate to assist with anti-aging? I think, a lot of individuals who may be watching this, that's something they will be interested in because they say, okay, maybe I am getting older here. What are some things I can do to assist my aging process?
Well, let's talk about anti-aging. So anti-aging has to do with slowing down the process of aging and potentially even reversing the process of aging. And this is where there are doctors in the field of lifestyle medicine and in the field of anti-aging medicine. There's the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine, which I'm a member of, and board certified in anti-aging medicine, and other medical doctors. Or I'm not a medical doctor. As a nutritionist, I'm board certified in that. And then the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. So to me, those are two of the leading medical organizations that are addressing the issues we're talking about tonight. Now, people say anti-aging, that's impossible. You can't reverse aging. Well, there are things you can do. And we go back to that chronological age versus the health age. That person who has made those changes and is younger, or they were bad maybe, and then they got younger based on their the analysis that's done, they've actually reversed the aging. When they quit the smoking, they lost the 35 pounds. their blood pressure. They don't have to take the medications anymore. They don't have the diabetes anymore. They are actually reversing the aging process. They're halting it from going forward, and they're doing things to the body that's regenerating that body, and they're actually getting into what we call anti-aging.
So when you see the chronological age change, is that a fast process? Does it take a while when somebody implements these beneficial steps?
It depends on the person, and also it depends on all the things they have to do. I mean, in many cases, if you really get on a really strict, very healthy program, in 3 months you could be like almost a new person.
Really?
As far as your weight is going down, definitely, and your cholesterol within 1 month, a lot of people will be from very high risk cholesterol. In fact, when I worked with Dr. McDougall, they had people who went in 10 days later, their blood cholesterols were substantially lower,
Yeah.
So it just depends on, making big changes, you get big results, making small changes, you get small results, or you may get no results.
Mm-hmm.
That's why if you want to reverse heart disease, as Dr. Dean Ornish points out, you have to really go on a heart disease reversal type of dietary program. You can't just do the American Heart Association diet, which he studied and did a comparison, and those on the Heart Association diet, which is basically cut the red meat out, have fish, have poultry, cut down a little bit on the fats. Well, those people didn't get much results. In fact, some of them, their heart disease progressed more. So we're talking about really a whole food plant-based diet, which we'll get into more as we go along.
Yeah, for sure. Now, what do you have to share? I'm curious as far as you have the individuals who may say, well, I have high blood pressure or I have these diseases because they're hereditary diseases and it doesn't matter what I'm going to do, you know? But I imagine you're still seeing improvement within these individuals as they adopt healthier ways of living.
I would say, for many, 85 to 90% of people will see improvement. And the test is this. If you could go for 1 month and go on a really healthy diet and a healthy lifestyle, drop some of those things, and you see improvement, then it's lifestyle related.
Mm-hmm.
If you go on a really strict healthy program and you don't see much change, then you may have a genetic situation. But that's only more like 10% really of the population. 90% can reverse those things and improve through a healthy lifestyle.
So, according to the latest science, then why do people age? Like, why does it show up like on their phenotype, versus their genotype? I guess.
Yeah, let's go talk about some of the different theories of aging, and there's hundreds of theories.
Yeah.
But the first one is the free radical theory.
Okay.
And free radicals are very unstable chemical compounds that damage our cells. Health begins at the cellular level, and our cells, they are made from proteins and they have a layer of different types of fats and so forth. But in the free radical, these unstable compounds, which come about from smoking, from drinking alcohol, from environmental exposure, and certain of the foods that we eat, these processed, refined, junk foods are filled with all types of stuff that actually promote the proliferation of free radicals that will damage our cells. And when the free radicals damage the cell membranes and they get into the inner parts of the cell, damaging the DNA, that can promote cancer. It promotes heart disease. It does all different types of things. Now, there's things we can do. There's what's called antioxidants. And we find those antioxidants that will be like a shield to prevent those free radicals from damaging the cell. And you find those in colorful fruits and vegetables, all these antioxidant different compounds. Vitamin C, vitamin E, vitamin E is the fat-soluble antioxidant. Vitamin C is the water-soluble antioxidant. There's polyphenolic compounds, and they're related many times to the different colorful pigments that you find in plant foods.
Yeah.
So there's the other theory that promotes aging. That's called the cross-linking theory, and this has to do when a sugar molecule combines with a protein molecule, and this is a process called glycation. It actually causes the browning of cells and tissues, and this has to do with high levels of sugar in the bloodstream. So that's related to eating lots of sugar and eating a bad diet that doesn't allow the sugar to be used properly, causing glycation to the cells. There's also what's called the chronic inflammation theory, and that has to do with, and many doctors are finding now that all these chronic diseases are really inflammatory diseases. And what's happening, the American lifestyle, when you're smoking cigarettes, when you're drinking alcohol, that's doing damage, that's promoting inflammation. When you eat processed foods, that promotes inflammation to the body and to the cell at the cellular level. Also, some of the fats that have been oxidized and so forth, those are promoting, and some of the types of fats that are eaten, processed fats, promotes inflammation. And lack of exercise, stress causes inflammation, smoking, a lot of these things promote inflammatory situations within the body, damaging things at the cellular level. Now, on the other hand, there are anti-inflammatory things you can do. You don't, and I'm not talking about taking anti-inflammatory drugs. I'm talking about eating lots of fruits and vegetables that have not only these antioxidants in them, they have compounds that have anti-inflammatory properties, like omega-3 fatty acids, for instance, in flax seeds and chia seeds and walnuts. Probably olive oil, particularly extra virgin olive oil, is more of an anti-inflammatory type of oil. So the diet is related to that, and as well as the lifestyle habits. Then the other theory of aging is the caloric intake theory. In other words, we eat way too much calories. And studies show, I may have a slide possibly up there of some of the rat and mice studies where they reduce their, or they increase their longevity by 50% by reducing their caloric intake by 30 to 60%. And this is where I think sometimes doing a fast of some kind, or a fasting mimicking diet. For some people, they can't go on a full distilled water fast. And Dr. Walter Longo at USC and the Longevity Institute has done research on fasting mimicking. And I do that with some of my patients, where we have some small amounts of food that a person would eat. When you do the testing on them, it would simulate what they would do if they went on a pure distilled water fast, but it would just give enough little small amounts of calories so they don't feel starving. But going through fasting and cleansing type programs help to reduce the caloric intake, but the high calorie diets, and particularly the wrong types of calories, promote aging. Then there's the immune theory. The immune theory means having a lifestyle, diet and lifestyle that weakens the immune system. Maybe you're not getting a certain amount of zinc or some of these immune stimulating vitamin C, the antioxidants. All these things improve and strengthen the immune system. But people, when you look at the SAD diet, it's a diet that weakens the immune system. And of course, we've been through COVID, so we know the importance of having a strong immune system to overcome some of those issues that come up with viruses and colds and so forth. So sometimes I'm a believer also in considering doing some scientific supplementation to help boost the immune system with certain types of nutrients, because it's hard to get it all from food based on the way foods are today. Then there's the telomere theory. And Elizabeth Blackburn, she received in 2009 the Nobel Prize in Physiology and Medicine, was awarded to her and her colleagues for discovering telomeres. These are, as you may see illustrated there, the end caps of chromosomes, the genetic material. And I can kind of illustrate that. Imagine this shoestring is a chromosome, and the end point there that you see, I forget what you call that, but that's what keeps it from unraveling. Well, as we age, as we have a bad, unhealthy lifestyle, eat the wrong types of foods, what happens? These telomeres, they're called telomeres at the end caps, start getting shorter, and it can get too short where these end caps can start losing them, and they start unraveling the chromosomes, and they unravel them, and that's when damage is done to the DNA, promoting cancer and other chronic diseases. So the telomere research shows that if you eat a healthy, whole food, plant-based diet, get good exercise, and have healthy lifestyle habits, you can actually keep those telomeres longer, because as we get older, they start getting shorter, or you can actually regenerate them so they can get a little longer. And the telomeres have a relationship to our health span and our lifespan. And so this is Nobel Prize winning research, and this is one of the important theories of aging as well. Now the other one has to deal, and I've done some research with Dr. Howard Murad in this area, and that's what's referred to as the science of cellular water. You can see the cell, everything starts, our aging starts at the cellular level. That's where it all begins, and the cells become tissues and organs and so forth. So on the left side, you see a cell, and you can see the cell is well hydrated. It looks like a very healthy cell membrane. And but what happens as we go to the right, these cells become bombarded by free radicals, and the intercellular water that's in there begins to seep out of the cell. And inflammation also causes damage to the cells, where it's like puncturing holes. You can think of a grape becoming more like a raisin, or a tire that's losing its air, shriveling up. And this happens to the cells throughout the body, whether it's in the skin and promoting wrinkles, or whether it's damaging the cells in an important organ. But it gets to the point where the cell wall is compromised, it's not healthy, and you start losing that moisture out of the cells. So when you look at all these different theories of aging, it all boils down to one thing. What is our intracellular water? Whether it's free radical damage or inflammation or any of these other things, the cells are losing their moisture from within. And this is, and the good news is, though, you can rebuild those cell walls by having plant-based proteins. By the way, animal-based proteins cause inflammation and damage the cell. Lecithin, and foods that have lecithin in it, which includes soy products and so forth. The antioxidants keep the free radicals from damaging the cell so that you lose that moisture. And those are things you can do. And we've done studies where we put people on a healthy diet, making sure they're getting all these important nutrients, and their intracellular water. If you do different types of testing that measure your percent body fat and so forth, bioelectrical impedance, some of the machines will actually test your intracellular water as well. And so this causes hydration. So this is the important thing, is we want all the theories boil down to this. Now here's the other point. The water you eat may be more important than the water you drink. Now it's important to drink water and pure water, but when you eat a water-based diet, the water in the cells that get into that cell plant is a little restructured compared to just drinking water. And if I told you to drink 8 to 10 glasses of water every day, what would be happening?
You'd be peeing like crazy.
That's right. But let's say you ate abundance of salads and raw fruits and vegetables, you're going to get that water, and that water that was in that cell will get into your cell better and rehydrate you, and then promote the intracellular water in your body. And you're not going to be running to the bathroom all the time. And along with those fruits and vegetables, you have anti-inflammatories, you have antioxidants, you have a different, nice cellular water that you're doing. So I recommend eating a water-based diet. And to eat a water-based diet, that means you got to eat a lot of plant foods. And the raw fruits and vegetables are going to have more of it. But if you don't overcook, your fruits and vegetables, you can also, get some of that water too. So that's the science of cellular water, and those are some of the main theories of it,
That's so
of aging.
That's so interesting. I can anecdotally attest to that because my cousin, my second cousin, is fully raw Christina, and when we hosted her at our health and healing crusade a few years back, I noticed she didn't seem to have such a need for, just water hydration, but she was juicing and, of course, eating a very high organic raw food diet, and that always surprised me that she didn't seem to have quite the need, quite the thirst mechanism like maybe I had because we went on a long run and she seemed to tolerate better. So her cellular hydration was optimal, and I wonder if that has anything to do with the electrolyte content, like the minerals and the trace minerals in the
Well,
plant foods.
there's nutrients in the vegetables or fruits, that have electrolytes and so forth that are important as well for the hydration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's really interesting. So, so you said this basically the best, is that the best theory then that we have on aging right now is the science of cellular water?
Well, it's a theory, but the thing is, the thing with the science of cellular water really covers it all, because all these different theories of aging actually relate to the cell losing its water,
I see.
losing its moisture. It's damaging the cell.
Okay.
So that it
So how can we keep our cells young and healthy? Yeah, maybe slow down the aging process even at the cellular level.
Well, that's what I was mentioning, is that because we've done that, where we take bioelectrical impedance machines that can do phase angle testing, can measure the integrity of the cell and the cell wall. And it also measures the intracellular water that's related to that. So it's really eating a healthy plant-based diet. You got to have the right protein to help build the cell wall, and that means a protein that's anti-inflammatory, not one that's pro-inflammatory. And that's where you find like plant proteins are more anti-inflammatory compared to animal protein. You want to get a lot of the antioxidant fruits and vegetables in there, because they prevent the damage, the puncturing of those those cell walls and drying it up and losing that moisture. You want to eat high, anti-inflammatory foods, and lecithin, the healthy fats, omega-3 fatty acids, ideally from plant-derived sources, and that's important. Those are all important components to have a good cell wall to prevent any damage to it.
Now, is the research showing like the quantities of plant foods eaten? I mean, I know some health professionals like Dr. Furman recommends, eating certain amount of servings of leafy greens or cruciferous vegetables a day. Dr. Michael Greger has his daily dozen too.
The ideal amount of servings from a plant-based fruits and vegetable diet is to get 9 or more servings a day. Very few people are doing that. But you got to think of it. When you think of a salad, let's say you take lettuce, 1 cup of lettuce is a serving, and that's pretty bulky. So you can get it. And I think that I know Dr. Furman is a big believer in having maybe 1 meal a day that's a big salad.
Yes.
Right? A lot of so you can get a lot of those things in your salad.
Yeah.
You can get all those G-bombs in a salad, actually.
That's great.
Now, have you noticed that maybe the servings have had to increase? I mean, the one thing I think of is the soil today and the pesticides and the sprays, or how depleted the soil may be. The vegetation may not be as nutritious as it once was.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons. And Dr. Linus, who I had done work with, big believer in supplementation in addition to eating. We have people in the plant-based world who are very anti-supplements. Get everything from fruits and vegetables in your diet, which if you're eating 9 or more servings of fruits and vegetables a day, you're going to get a lot of those to prevent nutrient deficiencies. Uh, but in this area of anti-aging, we're looking at what are optimal levels of certain nutrients that go beyond just the, um, having a deficiency of a certain nutrient. Because then at the higher levels, they become more than that. They actually have more protective values against disease at higher levels, particularly like the antioxidants are important, and they're safe. You
Mhm.
know, I mean, it's coming from nutrients that are safe. So, I'm a big believer in that, and I do feel that the soils and the fruits and vegetables we have today are not as nutritious as they were years ago.
Okay, so Dr. Westerdahl, tell us about the blue zone. Since research has shown there are certain regions and populations around the world where people live exceptionally long and healthy lives, and
Yes.
even centenarians. So, yeah, tell us about the blue zones.
Yes, there's different regions. Actually, a number of years ago, National Geographic magazine did a special on living longer, and they developed. And Dan Buettner, who was their researcher of longevity, went to different places. And the reason they call them blue zones is because in National Geographic, scientists were trying to find we need to find these cultures where there's more centenarians that are there and that are healthier and longer living, and they had these blue marking pins. They had this map, and they had a blue marking pin. They said, well, this one is a region, this one is. So they said, hey, let's call it blue zones. So that's how the word came out. And I was actually, when I was in Hawaii, I was contacted by National Geographic to find some people for the cover of that issue. They wanted me to find, because at that time I represented I was the health director for the Seventh-day Adventist Church throughout the islands of Hawaii, and of course Loma Linda became one of the blue zones in the Seventh-day Adventist. They wanted me to find some people that were really older and healthier, and I submitted some. They didn't get on the cover. They got beat out by a guy from Okinawa standing on his head, but.
Oh,
But
that's
anyway, the one woman that they did come, and they took about 2,000 pictures of her body surfing in Waikiki at sunset. She was 86 years old. I also recommended a husband and wife over in Kauai. The husband was 104 and the wife was 103 in the garden, and they're perfect health. I've done all types of testing on them. They're in absolutely perfect health. Um, but the other Okinawan. But anyway, the blue zone regions, as you will see on the screen, they had Ikaria, Greece, and we had Okinawa, Japan, also Sardinia, Italy, and the Nicoya Peninsula of Costa Rica, and in the United States, Loma Linda, California. And so these are different areas of the world. Now they found some commonalities with all these different regions, but I'll go over some of them. In Ikaria, Greece, they eat, of course, the Mediterranean diet. A high percentage of their diet is actually from plant foods, and they have a large number of 90-plus-year-old people that live in Ikaria, Greece, and 50% lower rates of heart disease, almost no dementia in that country. And they're following, a Mediterranean diet. And I have to mention that the Mediterranean diet, when people say, well, we should go on the Mediterranean diet, I'm not talking about the modern Mediterranean diet. Have to look at the ancient Mediterranean diet. The modern Mediterranean diet is becoming more like the sad American diet.
mm.
But the traditional diet that these older people were eating, they ate a lot of vegetables and potatoes and all types of wild greens and legumes, and they had some extra virgin olive oil in their diet as well. Then the other one is Okinawa, Japan, which I understand that Dan Buettner may be taking them off the list of a blue zone now, because they went over, and one of my colleagues, gentleman that actually went to Okinawa and studied the people that are over 100 years of age and analyzed their diet, which is really much of a plant-based diet. They had small amounts of fish in addition to that, but there was a lot of people in Okinawa that are over 100 years of age, and they ate Oh, multiple servings of fruits and vegetables a day. More vegetables, smaller amounts of fruit, but they eat more whole grains, a lot of tofu and seaweed, and there's a lot of centenarians over there. So what's happened in Okinawa is now McDonald's is over there,
Mm.
and the fast food and the young people. It's sad what's happening, importing these to these other countries, because the young people, once they eat those fast foods, they are addicted to them. They don't want seaweed and tofu anymore, and the different types of Asian vegetables. They want they won't even eat those other foods anymore. So they're probably going to be taken off the blue zone list. But the traditional Okinawa diet is anti-aging.
Mm.
Then in the Costa Rica Peninsula, they have lots of tropical fruits, and they eat a lot of beans. They have very low rates of heart disease and cancer and diabetes, and they find that they have a very spiritual social network as well. A lot of them are Christians there, and all these things that contribute to their health and longevity. And then the blue zone in the United States, that shocks people. Loma Linda, California, a city that's in urban Southern California on the freeway, has smog and has all the trappings of Western civilization as we do in America. But in Loma Linda, of course, there's the high concentration of Seventh-day Adventist Christians that live there. And part of their faith tradition is that a lot of them are vegetarian or even vegan. And those that do eat some meat eliminate some of the unclean meats that the Bible talks about, which are basically the scavenger foods like pork and shellfish and that type of thing. But they follow it's all based on the Genesis 129 diet, which is the Garden of Eden diet. And Seventh-day Adventists also don't drink, they don't smoke, they avoid caffeine. And all these things are attributed. And what's very interesting, Dan Buettner points out there's one difference with the Loma Linda blue zone compared to the others, in that in their faith tradition, they have a Sabbath day.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, they follow the Ten Commandments about the fourth commandment about having a Sabbath day, very much like the Jewish tradition follows. And so that's a day that's totally devoted to mental, physical, and spiritual rest. And they have their faith. They come together with their culture and worship together. They go out in nature for walks. They turn off the television, the radio, the world. They set it aside for a 24-hour period. So the Sabbath day, starting from Friday sundown to Saturday sundown, is the 24-hour period. That's referred to as a sanctuary in time. And that's the big difference with the Adventist blue zone compared to the others. What's interesting with the Adventist blue zone too is that the Seventh-day Adventists who follow the church's recommendations of a vegetarian diet and lifestyle live to be up to 10 years longer than the average American. And that longevity is actually longer than the ones in Japan and then the other blue zones.
Mm.
So that's the blue zone that has the highest longevity. There are some common characteristics with all these different blue zones. One is no smoking or very little smoking is in their culture. The importance of family. All these cultures have an important value to having family. They tend to have more regular exercise. They're not as sedentary as the typical Western cultures. They have social engagement. They're involved socially with other people. They're not isolated. They also, all of them have engagement of some type of spirituality or religion. They have more of a moderate caloric intake, and they eat more of a plant-based diet. It's either a semi-vegetarian type of diet or a vegetarian diet like in the Loma Linda blue zone. So those are the blue zone cultures. But I'm going to mention another culture that got me interested in the area of nutrition, and that's the region of Hunza up in the Himalayas. where
Yes.
people, a number of years ago in the Journal of American Medical Association, there was an article that appeared that said that there's a culture high up in this upper Pakistan in the Himalayan mountains in a very pristine and isolated area where people live to be up to 100 years of age, 120, and the oldest recorded age is even 130.
Wow.
So one of my gentlemen that I became familiar with. He wrote this book. He actually became a very good friend and almost like a spiritual father to me. But he went to study Hunza and wrote this book, Hunza 15 Secrets of the World's Healthiest and Oldest Living People. And National Geographic scientists have been up there to study these people as well and to look at their lifestyle. And the people in Hunza are really almost all the time they're vegetarian. They do eat meat about 13 times a year. Average meat consumption over the year is like 1 or 2 ounces of meat a month, but it's usually concentrated for certain religious holidays. And they eat abundance of 80% of their diet is raw, and the rest is lightly cooked. They have apricots every day, and they even eat the kernel of the apricot. Where there's some studies that have been done that thinking that there may be some cancer protective values in those apricot kernels. Lots of fruits and berries, all organically grown, and you can see the pictures I have here of the terraces of Hunza where they grow all their organic fruits and vegetables, and they also raise wheat and have grains and they eat whole grain foods. And they have a simple lifestyle way up in the high regions of Hunza, isolated from the world, pure water. And so this has contributed to their health and longevity. You'll see one picture that I have here of a man that's 120 years old. No Alzheimer's, no high cholesterol. In fact, when they study their cholesterol, it's all very low compared to the typical American, less than 150 actually.
Mm.
And so this is a region in the world that has been around for a long time, and people have studied the people of Hunza even through the National Geographic studies and so forth. So there are cultures. And what's interesting, though, is you get back to the Loma Linda Blue Zone region. You see here that you don't have to live in a utopia paradise like up in Hunza
Mm-hmm.
to live a long, healthy life. You can live in the city. And I encourage people to try to make their home and their environment and their community a blue zone.
Mm-hmm.
Put the right foods in there, learn from these different blue zones. Things that you guys are doing in education can help a lot. And make it your home a blue zone and expand that into your community. Find out where your parks are to do exercise, local gyms. You have resources in your community that could add to your home environment and helping you to live a longer, healthier life.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I was watching a evangelical pastor a couple weeks ago, and he brought up Loma Linda in the blue zones. And what he looked at was the average lifespan of an individual in the Adventist faith. And then he calculated that with the amount of Sabbaths they would be keeping. And I believe the research shows, at least the research he was looking at, was the average lifespan was they were living 11 years longer than the average individual. And what he showed
Yeah.
with his calculations was based on the Sabbaths, they would be worshiping a total of 11 years worth of Sabbaths within their lifetime.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting.
Yeah. Now we talk about 10 years as an average. So what the studies show is that Seventh-day Adventist women that follow the vegetarian diet and the Adventist lifestyle live 9 years longer than the average American woman. Men that follow it live 11 years longer than the average American man. So when you average it out, it's 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I'm a graduate of Loma Linda University, so I'm studied at the Blue Zone, and Huldah Crooks, who is a legend in the Seventh-day Adventist population, she lived to be 103 years old, and she climbed Mount Whitney every year. At 92 years of age, she climbed to the top of Mount Fuji in Japan. Dr. Ellsworth Wareham, who was a heart surgeon, lived to be 104, was still doing surgeries on patients at 95, and then he decided to let the younger guys do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just presented an award to one of my nutrition professors at Loma Linda. I presented a Lifetime Achievement Award. I'm former president of the Adventist Nutrition and Dietetics International Association. I gave him a Lifetime Achievement Award, and now he's over 100 years old. I gave it to him at 100 years old, and he's lived this Adventist healthy lifestyle, vegetarian all his life. And at 100, he's not using a walker. He walks around. He keeps up with the latest research in nutrition every day. He drives a electric car, even in the evening. He does everything like a normal younger person, much younger. So if we ran him through the RealAge, I wonder what he'd come up to.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'd be a lot younger.
Right. Well, we've certainly enjoyed this conversation. I'm curious, are there any foods or even any herbs that are beneficial to include to assist with anti-aging and increasing our longevity?
So yes, there are a number of foods, and I'm going to kind of give them to you in alphabetical order that I recommend that people getting into their diet regularly. And one of them is acai berries, which are very rich in antioxidants and anti-inflammatories, and considered by many scientists as one of the top superfoods. It's a berry that from a type of palm tree from South America. Almonds are a good nut to have. They have a monounsaturated fats and are a lot of vitamin E. Apples. I have to say something about apples, though. If you're going to eat apples, only eat organic certified apples and apple products, because the conventional apple is listed on one of the dirty dozen foods for pesticides. So get organic certified apples, and there's a lot of apple products that are available now, and that's why apple baby food products are very popular, because parents don't want to give them conventional apples. Apricots, the food of the Hunzas, very rich in certain carotenoids that have very potent antioxidants. Blueberries, I make sure I get my cup of blueberries or so every day in my diet somehow, and they're very rich in these polyphenol antioxidants. The colorful blueberries are really an anti-aging food, and they're a brain food. They're good for preventing, cognition issues later on. Broccoli is one of the top anti-cancer vegetables. That's my favorite vegetable, actually. And broccoli sprouts. Look for broccoli sprouts, or grow your own, because you have more of these sulforaphane compounds that are like putting cancer bombs in your body to fight against cancer. Cinnamon. And I recommend organic cinnamon. It's like cinnamon powder. Use that in place of sugar to sweeten up your oatmeal and other things. Sprinkle it on different foods. Cinnamon has some anti-diabetic properties that almost has like insulin type of effects in the body. And cinnamon is very good as a spice. Citrus fruits, of course, are rich in vitamin C. Concord grapes, that purple grape juice that has resveratrol and polyphenol antioxidants. In fact, they showed that by having a small serving of that, you can get a lot of Concord grapes in just a little glass, when you figure a juice, like Welch's grape juice, for instance. It has definitely some real heart protective properties. You don't have to drink wine to get those polyphenol antioxidants. And people say, well, drinking wine, I heard, is good for your heart. Well, it's these antioxidants in the wine that are good. And you get all those from eating grapes and also from grape juice. Flax seeds are really good, potent plant-based sources of the omega-3 fatty acids, very important for heart health and essential for having those essential fatty acids to build that cell wall that's important. That we talked about. Garlic, I spent 2 years of my career studying garlic. I actually developed a garlic supplement for a company and went to all these top scientific garlic conferences, meeting with garlic scientists from all over the world. And, getting at least 1 or 2 cloves of garlic in your diet every day is very good. And if you tend to have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, maybe getting 3
Mm.
cloves in there. And any way you can get the garlic in your diet is good. Ginger is another spice that's really good. It has anti-inflammatory properties, and it has a lot of medicinal properties as well for digestion and so forth. Goji berries that a lot of people are familiar with, coming from Tibet and also from the China area, and some may be growing in the Hunza region as well. They're one of the most nutrient-dense fruits on the face of the earth. It has a lot of interesting phytochemicals in it that can also help boost the immune system, according to some research. Kale is a dark green leafy vegetable that's important. You get the calcium in kale is better absorbed than the calcium you get from dairy products. Of course, it has vitamin K, so it's a very excellent food. Mango, Hawaii. I used to have a mango tree in my backyard when I lived in Hawaii, rich in vitamin C and also rich in some of these carotenoid, yellow pigments and so forth that are very potent antioxidants. Mushrooms have immune stimulating properties. Any type of mushroom is good. Some of them are higher in certain others. You can actually get mushrooms that have been had a sun lamp or gotten some UV on them, so they'll actually make their own vitamin D
Mm.
as well. So you look for that. There are some of those type of mushrooms out on the market. Muscadine grapes. That's the type of grape that's back in southern part of the United States. Very rich in polyphenol antioxidants. One of the richest type of. It's not really a true grape. But it looks like one, sort of. Very rich in and has resveratrol and other polyphenol antioxidants. And oats. Getting your oats, I really like the steel cut oats the best as compared to the rolled oats, but any oats you can get in diet are good. They have a fiber, that's soluble fiber to lower your cholesterol and important for good heart health and also to help control your blood sugar. Papaya, another excellent fruit, if you can get that. Of course, you guys in Hawaii have a lot of papaya. I used to have papaya every day when I lived over there for breakfast. And that has a rich source of vitamin C as well as these um, carotenoid and antioxidants that have anti-cancer properties. Pomegranate is another one that's important. And it's nice that now you don't have to cut it open and take all those things out of it. You can get them already done for you at the grocery store or the health food store. And that actually is an internal sunblock. They have antioxidants in it that can help prevent any damage from the sun to your skin. It's one of those internal sunscreen type of fruits and very important for heart health. And there's some studies to show that having a glass of pomegranate juice a day can decrease your risk of certain issues with prostate cancer. Soybeans, don't believe all the skeptics about soybeans saying that they're causing cancer and all that. They actually prevent many forms of cancer. Soybeans, of course, are a great plant source of protein. You can get it in tofu. You get it in many different forms, edamame and so forth. Um, Anti-cancer food. Can help to lower your cholesterol, good source of protein instead of you getting the animal protein. Turmeric is another one that's important. That's a spice that has very strong anti-inflammatory properties and antioxidant properties. And another nut is walnuts. Walnut, they say, is going to be like the new fish oil. It's also the type of fats in it are related to omega-3 fatty acids. And of course, it does provide some protein as well. So those are some key anti-aging superfoods.
Thank you so much, Dr. Westerdahl, for your presentation, for talking to us about anti-aging and longevity. And I love that you mentioned the Hunzas and their diet and the research there, because that isn't very well known information. And definitely, I love that you talked about the Loma Linda Adventists and their longevity and the importance of the Sabbath and how the Sabbath is such a blessing to our health as well as our spiritual health.
It's interesting because I go to the gym every day, I swim and I do exercise and so forth. But I look at the Sabbath and going to my local Seventh-day Adventist church. That's my spiritual gym.
There you go.
So it's like a lifestyle that's a lifestyle habit,
Yeah.
you know, and you can look at the pastor of your church as your spiritual coach, you know, like your spiritual trainer or whatever. So it's an important, and when you think of it, you know, when you talk to many people, they say, even those that have no religion, when they hear about the Sabbath concept, they say, you know, that makes sense. If I could take one day a week and just think of spiritual things, but also rest and get away from the world, I would be much better. So I've talked to a lot of people that aren't even religious that are trying to make a Sabbath too.
Yeah.
Seeing that.
And I love that Jesus shared with his people at the time that the Sabbath was made for you. You know, the Sabbath was made for man. And
That's
it's
right.
still relevant to this day. I mean, we will still be keeping Sabbath in heaven. So
yeah, such a blessing for all of us.
That's right.
So, well, it's been wonderful talking with you today. We will leave links below this video for your website, so individuals can get in contact with you if they have any questions or if they want to work with you. So thank you so much for taking this time. We really appreciate it. God bless you.
Okay, God bless you.
Dr. Westerdahl, we just want to say thank you again for this information that you shared with us, because it was certainly valuable and we're so appreciative.
And if you guys like this presentation, make sure to let us know in the comment section below, and don't forget to check out those links in the description.
Absolutely. And the last presentation will be given by Jessica and myself, which you won't want to miss. So stay tuned. And until then, God bless.